This episode is brought to you by Columbia Sportswear. It's snowing again, and that wind chill is killer. But you're not worried about that because you shop the Omni Heat Infinity Collection. It's warmth perfected with tiny gold dots that reflect your body heat inside and protect you from the cold outside. No snow or chilly temps can stop you now. Go out anyway. Shop the Omni Heat Infinity Collection now at Columbia.com/infinity.
In sports, the scoreboard doesn't tell the full story, but Netflix does. Stories about dads who happen to be world-class quarterbacks and a battle for the heart, soul, and direction of the multi-billion-dollar business of F1. Whether you're a diehard fan or you're brand new, Netflix has the stories for every type of fan. You can watch these incredible sports stories like Quarterback, F1 Drive to Survive, Untold, and many more now on Netflix.
So let me say it one more time so it's a bit more clear. Italy need to either beat North Macedonia and then they will have a draw or win possibility in the final game, or they need to, if they fail to beat North Macedonia, they will need to beat Ukraine in the final game. That's what it comes down to. The situation has been complicated by a significant betting scandal that is still ongoing, still unfolding in Italy. This story had already sort of begun with news that Nicolò Fagioli is under investigation. Of course, Serie's Young Player of the Season last season, someone who was getting some important minutes at Juventus. And at the end of last week, as Italy were preparing for the game against Malta, there was a police raid at Italy's Coverciano training base where Turin police showed up and asked some questions of Nicolo Zaniolo and Sandro Tonali. Those two players subsequently left Italy's training camp the next morning. To be clear, neither of them is currently suspended from playing football. They could have played for Italy. They can go back to the clubs and continue playing for the time being. But it was decided by Italy that they were not in the right headspace to do it. What we know is that they are under investigation by police as part of a wider investigation into illegal betting in Italy. Now, that investigation is not football specific. That is a broader police investigation that goes to websites that are unlicensed on which people are placing bets. And that is a criminal investigation. If they are found to have been gambling on illegal websites, they could face fines, potentially a prison sentence of up to 3 months. But this is a sliding scale, and by far the most likely outcome in that case would be fines. The more serious implications for them come on the footballing side, because in the sporting, in Italy's sporting code, it is explicitly forbidden for footballers to gamble on football. They're not allowed to gamble on any football conversation on any football match that falls under the jurisdiction of FIFA, UEFA, or the Italian Football Federation. Now, Nicolò Fagioli, who I mentioned before, has reached a plea bargain in his case. He was already under investigation before this raid at Coverciano, has been in dialogue with the Italian sporting prosecutor for the last few weeks, and has now reached a plea bargain in which he is going to accept a 7-month suspension from football, with a further 5 months suspended, in which time he's going to be expected to conduct certain activities designed to, rehabilitate himself and also spread an important message to younger footballers. He's going to speak to young people about the risks of gambling, because Fagioli has basically confessed that he was addicted to gambling, and that's the point he got to. He built up significant debts. He's said that when he made a mistake and then was seen crying on the bench against Sassuolo last season for Juventus, that was actually because he was so stressed out and upset about millions of euros in outstanding debts that he had. So he's very much confronting his problems, is going to therapy, and has reached this plea bargain for a 7-month suspension. We do not know yet what the outcome will be for Tonali and Zaniolo, but we do know they've taken very different responses to what's happened with this investigation. Tonali has effectively gone to the sporting prosecutor, Kine, and has said, I would also like to acknowledge everything I've done wrong. I have bet on football, and I want to acknowledge that I also have been addicted to gambling, and is effectively taking the same approach that Fagioli did. The comments so far are that meanwhile, Zaniolo has said, I did not bet on football. I only might have done some betting on poker or blackjack on websites that weren't licensed. So all of this is to be verified. The Turin prosecutor seized phones and electronic devices from both of them during the raid at Coverciano. So anything they say to Kine, the sporting prosecutor, is going to be cross-referenced with what the Turin prosecutor finds. But assuming Tonali is being truthful and that he is being fully upfront with the prosecutor, then your first expectation was, well, perhaps this will be a similar outcome to what happened with Fagioli. There is a potential complicating factor, which is, did Tonali bet on his own games? And that could lead to a more severe sentence. Again, anything else we can say about that at this point is speculation. There has been some speculation in the newspapers. I don't really want to go into it, because I think that's not legally good ground for us to be on. But that would be a factor that could potentially lead to a lengthening of his ban beyond the 7 months Fagioli got. There could be other circumstances that the prosecutors will consider that are different to Fagioli that may also lead to a different ban. But the indication we have is 7 months is probably the lowest bar you can expect for Tonali suspension. So almost certainly Tonali is going to be suspended for this entire football season at a minimum. And that ban will extend to the Premier League, or at least that is what the Italian Football Federation would expect, is that it gets extended across any league that falls under UEFA's auspices. Much the same as when Paratici was banned, his ban also applied to Premier League activities. So this is a very serious situation for Tonali and for Newcastle. Again, Zaniolo denies any claims that he bet on football. So remains to be seen what comes out of his investigation, but potentially if he is vindicated in those claims, there's no reason he should serve a footballing suspension. He likely will face a fine. And there is, again, within the law, there is a provision for a prison sentence, but that is not the expected outcome. So those are what those two players are facing, and anything else is a wait and see at this point. Mina, if I covered everything.
Nicky, I think you should be a lawyer. Like, you just laid the facts out so perfectly here, you know? like it was like, so this is what it is. This is what I'm allowed to say.
Yeah.
I was like, if it was me, I would have started drawing circles all around the place, you know, being like, oh, and also this, oh, and also that, you know. It was like, you just delivered it in one speech. Yeah. It's amazing.
Social Podcast Network.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/get100 and use code GET100. That's code GET100 at prizepicks.com/get100. for a first deposit matchup to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.